if you could take a moment to, when your mouse is on the window for a Zoom meeting, you'll see the word chat down one part of the screen.
Oh, yeah.
If you type, just click on the chat and type your name, your email, and your telephone number. And it's kind of like recording the attendance that we have in a meeting tonight. We're not going to have a long meeting, I think, because of the fact that I made such a big mess of everything.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing that's happening when I've talked to people is that with the new opening that we have in the communities now, they're getting together with families and doing things outside of the home and gardens and whatever. And so we probably will not, in August, we won't have a meeting. And we'll just keep in touch with each other, however it means, like email or whatever. But to take the time and set the meeting up and then not have many people attend is a problem too.
Yeah. Of course it is. It's unfortunate. I would say that because you changed the meeting time, many people may be out to lunch, as they say. Yeah,
I think that they saw this 2 o'clock time and said, I can't make it to that, so they didn't check again. Robert Thompson he came to me this afternoon or today and explained that, and he had booked already something for tonight, family-wise, I think. And so it's one of the things, we're all getting really busy. Like in my own life, it's much more is happening now since the opening.
Right.
They removed all of the restrictions.
Yeah.
So tell me, just to go around the 5 of us, 4 of you and 1 of me, what have you been doing now for carving over the last while?
Me, you know, what's happened, you lose your stimulus, you lose your creativity with the lack of interaction with other people. I've started up a couple of carvings, but I've stalled. You know, I've put them aside, other things get in the way, et cetera, and haven't done that much at all. I'm trying to do a lady slipper at the moment, deep relief lady slipper. We'll see how that comes out. But I've done a few pyrography things along the way, but that's about all I've done. Even that, I'm working hard to get back my creativity.
How about you, Forrest?
Well, I just got rid of a message from Zoom telling me if I'm enjoying the pro service, and I spent the last few minutes getting rid of it. Now I've got you back. The lady slipper is real interesting to me because my daughter has purchased a property in Quebec up near Pembroke.
Yep.
And she has a lot of lady slippers on her property.
Oh, does she?
They're very rare, and they sent me the photographs so I could carve a sign for their property.
Okay. I take commissions, Forrest, of course, you know.
And I'm trying to figure out how a lady slipper really looks, because from a few photographs, I'm having trouble getting an idea of what it looks like in the round.
Yeah, okay. That'll be hard in the round. That's why I decided to do it as a high relief. And that was bad enough, you know. At least I can do a little bit of work with my router to get rid of most of the stuff and then work on the lady slipper itself.
They want the lady slipper on the sign, and it'll be in high relief also.
Yeah.
But I'm not comfortable yet.
Come on. Yeah.
But
okay.
As far as the summer is concerned, it hasn't been a good carving time for me either.
No.
Just haven't been in the mood, I guess.
Yeah.
Need carvers around.
That's right. You missed the interaction. I'm sure, Murray, you have that said to you quite often. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right, for sure.
Yeah.
People just miss the interaction, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah.
if you have something to carve and you want to show it next month or next week when you go to the carving club, you tend to do a little bit on it.
Mhm.
But in some of the clubs that I visited and talked to the presidents of it, or the people that are leading it, they said that a lot of their folks, especially some of the older guys, they just come for coffee and cookies. They do a little bit of carving, but when I went back to their group after about 3 months of not being there, and we went back to check on something, get a couple of pictures and photographs, they were still doing exactly the same spot on one piece of carving. They really hadn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
But the social time is so important to most of these fellows. And I think that's where we hear in Peterborough, the club meets in a seniors center, which is a school built in about 1880 or so, that they were able to get purchase and become is their building. And they have maybe 20 some different groups that meet in there. And so when the regulation said you could only have up to 25 people or 50 people, whatever, then each club or group would get so many people that would be able to come. Well, for the carvers, that's not possible because they have something 20 some people, and who do you choose should come? They're not really interested in just one or two coming. They can stay at home and do that thing too. So it's just one of the things. I talked to Louise, who is our president here, and she said that they're in discussions now with how they're going to do it, waiting to see if the government truly is going to let them open up or what they have to do. And so everybody seems to have kind of a hesitation about planning too much because of the fact that the government has tended in this last year and a half to say something and then change it. And it's a real problem because like in our community, we've not had new cases for weeks now.
Well, I think we can take a lead from the education department,
Yeah.
who have said September is on for school. So I think if anything else revolving around that, that's the direction will happen. So I think anything from September on.
Right. No, I see the name Mia Marsh, is it?
Marsh.
Marsh.
Marcel Lamarche.
Marcel, okay.
With me, well,
where are you located?
I'm in Bourget.
Where's that?
Bourget,
Okay.
which is part of Rockland.
Okay.
Well, like the others, my carving has slowed down too. My area of interest has been mainly waterfowl, and I've also been involved with metal and glass. But over the summer, my main area of involvement has been mentoring my 16-year-old grandson who's getting involved in wood carving.
Uh-huh.
Good for you. Super.
Yeah, so his first wood carving was a fat cat, and it was nice enough that my brother-in-law commissioned a beaver from him. My brother-in-law is a trapper, so he carved the beaver, and Larry was over here last week and picked it up, and now while he was waiting for Larry to show up, he started working on a mask, but he's working on an original design. So because I've been trying to tell him that he should be working from what he perceives and developing his own patterns. So he's developed a pattern for an original mask, and he's working on it. And then once he's done with that, Larry has commissioned the links from him. So that may be the next project. As for me, well, the last meeting I attended, which was the only meeting I've ever attended because I'm new to the group, I was expecting some shaft tools, which some people were curious about. So the follow-up is that I was dissatisfied with the shaft tools. So I sent them back. What happens is if you're from the US, if you're dissatisfied, they send you a second set and you keep the first. But what happens is in Canada, they have forest or Bear Woods is their exclusive dealer. And what happens with them is that if you're dissatisfied, they want the original set back because they have, and I hadn't read this before, they have a requirement for a refund is that it be 2% deficient in quality. Now, what 2% deficiency in quality is, I don't know. But in any event, they sent me a second set, and like the first, I wasn't satisfied and returned that one too. So I'm back to the drawing board as to what I'll buy for supplementary carving tools.
Were
But the
they
thing
just
was,
not sharp enough, or what was the issue?
well, that was the that was the main issue for me. Is I decided for the first time that, well, you can buy the shaft tools, and then you can buy, which come manufactured in China, which I hadn't realized when I first ordered. And then when they get them, you can either accept the shaft tools, which they say are sharp enough to use, or you can pay extra to have them sharpened. So I paid to have them sharpened, and they came in with nicks in the blades that were, you know, like the edges are supposed to be, I suppose, at a
90
90-degree angle to the shaft. Well, these weren't. The blades were off, and so I could have tried sharpening them and see how they were, but I thought it'd be damned if I'm going to sharpen them after having paid for sharpening. So I gave them right back.
Are these micro tools, or are these?
No, these are the full size.
These are gouges of different styles.
Yeah, they come in a set of 12.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then they have supplementary tools that you can add to expand the set. But
what was the name of the manufacturer again?
Schaaf, SCHAAF.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's it. One F, I think. So,
right.
So that's the limit of my experiences. Being disappointed. Could have tried to sharpen them, but having paid for sharpening, there's no way I was going to do that.
What did they put you back for a set of 12, Marche?
I think it only goes, if you're buying them in the US, they're $99.
Oh, okay. All right.
And if you're buying them here, you're slightly over 200.
Yes.
Oh, the other thing too in the US is in the US they come with free shipping, and in Canada you pay shipping on top.
That's
So
right.
there are differences. Yeah. But I mean, a couple of those, like the 200, will buy you a couple of good quality stuff. So there's no way I'm going to put up with that.
No.
As to carving, well, the project that's sitting on the bench right now is I'm also doing genealogy for my family. So my seventh great-grandfather was part of the Carignan regiment in New France. So got here about 1665. So I'm switching over to do a carving of a soldier from that regiment, but I'll have to I guess adapt to making human faces instead of ducks, which will be a bit of a challenge for me.
Well, that's fascinating. It's interesting about the tools, though, because there's so many advertisements and books and online that come to you, and they make big promises, but how in the world do you know what they're like until you can feel and see them?
Well, the big disappointment for me was that, and I forget what the names are, but there's some big name carvers that are actually promoting these tools.
There are many manufacturers who state that they come, how would we call it?
One of them actually says, well, in my whole career, you sort of expect them to be promoting something that is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. Many don't finish their tools properly. You have to redress them when you get them.
That's right.
Which is really unfortunate, because many people just pick them up and start using them and then get discouraged, which I think is very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, and one of the promoters, one of the promotions was actually a review in Wood Carving Magazine.
Uh-huh.
A positive review. You'd think that the flaws would be highlighted.
It may be that they're getting tools back from people and then sending those out to somebody. And somebody's already tried to do whatever with it, so.
I don't know. I don't know, but it seems to me that if they're farming out the sharpening to a company, as opposed to in-house, either way, the tools that I got were not properly sharpened.
Mhm.
That's a shame.
Well, I'm going to ask Tom Moffat there if you've got sound and you can hear us, and can you talk? It's an issue that you've had the last couple of times. We couldn't hear your voice, so you'll have to see if you
Press his Wi-Fi button.
it says that you've got your mic on, Tom.
No, not good luck.
Can't hear you. Yeah, mic is still not working. Now, just to say a little bit about Tom for him is that Tom is sitting in a wheelchair and operates with one arm doing his carving. And he does stab cuts that he cuts out the piece of wood and then finishes it off, and it ends up as Christmas ornaments and that type of thing. And maybe you've seen it in the magazine. But Tom really works at his carving, even though he's had a stroke. He was a carver before the stroke, and he continues to work at it after. Is that right, Tom? Shake your head.
Well, I must admit that I'm a lot luckier than Tom, because I suffered what is called a silent stroke recently.
Okay.
And so for me, the symptoms are not visible. If you looked at me, you wouldn't know. And I sympathize with him, because I've had some of the I've shared some of the symptoms, and they're horrible.
So he's written there, you can see the chat on the right hand, my screen is right hand side. Mike is not working and virus so bad here, the bugs are that they're wearing masks again. You're in a senior's home, right there, Tom? Is it in a private home? Well, your son's home, okay. So he's the computer man that helped you with the computer, right? I wonder if on some of the cases where the mic doesn't work on the computer or the speakers on that, maybe by attaching a separate speaker and microphone to the computer, that it would give you that opportunity to be able to speak.
It may be within the setting of his computer itself that it's off somewhere. So it could be another alternative.
Yeah.
When I was waiting for the meeting to start, there was actually a utility on the screen that allowed you to test your camera and your microphone,
right,
and switch to an alternate. I don't know if that might not be helpful.
It's hard to tell. I have an uncle that has an older Mac computer, and it refuses to have anything to do with Zoom.
How interesting. Yeah.
It's a real problem for him. He wanted to, he's at the stage, he doesn't think he wants to buy another computer, but I had set up to have all of his nieces and nephews come together on a Zoom meeting to talk to him. And his son tried to help, and it just did not work. So the guys have been emailing back and forth together with him, just to encourage him.
Well, look, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but I'm going to have to back out. Something's come up. Forrest,
Okay.
you? Anne-Marie, and perhaps when I get your next email, which I hope you will be correct in.
Okay, were you able to send your email, type your email in here in the chat?
I will get that now.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Just to share with you that I've been carving steadily all right straight through. And most of it's because of boredom, I guess, and nothing to do. So I do sales of carving when we'd have shows and in the community and that kind of thing, different places. And what had happened was that with the end of all shows in March, about March 2020, I really didn't look at the stock that I had left. And so now I've been carving little things and different pieces to build up the stock and reserves. And then what's happened too with the opening, people may contact me and they want something carved, or I installed a fairy village down at one of the lavender farms south of us in Peterborough, and put a sign up in that who I was and who made the fairy villages, etc. And people contacted me and they came to my place with masks up and wanted to buy some fairy houses. And that's led to more orders about fairy villages and fairy houses. So there's still a little bit to do, and it keeps you busy that way. I've finished a contract today with a fellow that is writing another book. And I carved some things that will appear on the front cover of his book, and very specifically how I wanted it done. So we've been meeting back and forth again and talking about it, and finally got that project done. So it keeps you active a little bit. Now the Pyrography group that we have, the wood burning group that comes on Zoom in the first part of the month, that one has kept all of us a little bit busy. We set up a project, like a challenge, I guess you'd say, when it was the first time. And so a few of the fellows that are in this, that are kind of starting off their carving and start off their pyrography work, they take up the challenge and do it. So one time it was suggested we try to do a dandelion or something about dandelions. And one time we did Dobby, the house elf from the Harry Potter series. And what happens is that every time you do something a little different that you've never tried before, you're learning something new about the burning. And there's one of the gals that's quite advanced, and actually two people in there, they're quite advanced in what they do. And she offers some very solid suggestions as to what we can try and how to make a tree look more like a tree rather than just a bunch of strokes. And so it's been kind of a neat thing. The Pyrography group has really been a help to all of us. And so it's been great that way. And also the caricature carvers with Mark Sheridan and Jean-Paul Andre, who lives down in Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. Mark is in Kingston, and they host this. We have, I think the lowest we've had in this is about 13 people, sometimes up over 20 something, almost 30 people. I think there's 50 people on the list that Mark emails about the character carving. And so they're actually teaching what happens, how you carve a face, how you put a head together, the elements of the caricature. And it's been really good information and solid stuff for all of us to be able to learn from. And then Mark's been dealing with painting and how you decorate and some of the ways that they do it, and different people do it. And then people can ask questions, they can get the ideas, and it's been a real help in that way. So it's been kind of a stirring, stimulating kind of thing to take part in. But I'm not sure as we go into the fall, and if things start to open up, again, it doesn't make much sense for some of us, just for the social aspect of a Zoom meeting, to come back and do it again. I'm willing to give it a try, but we'll try to poll everybody to see what they would like to do. And as long as I don't make any mistakes on dates and times, I'm okay. But it is something that we're working on. So one of the areas in extra carving we have to start up pretty soon is I carve Harry Potter wands and all of the wands from the movie series and for the kids and so on. And now I'm at the point I've got about half of the characters done, of their wands done. And it gets pretty detailed when you get into some of the not the main characters, but some people that are showing. And Universal Studios put out a book that shows the wands, tells the length and what they're made out of and what the story is behind it. And then they they interviewed the people that used the wands in the movie and asked what they feel like when they hold this wand, what it's like. And it's been kind of a neat adventure to take part in carving the wands and to see the kids' faces when they get a wand. It's been really great. And then I've also had a number of kids that come up and say they'd like to try to carve a wand. So you give them basics of what it do. They take a picture, what to do, and they take a picture of my wands and go back. And then they've been sending pictures to me about their wand and what it looks like. And then sometimes they veer off the idea of a movie wand and start making their own, which can have sparklers on it. It'll have twisted pieces on it. And it's just a stick that comes out of the bush, but it's their wand. So it's neat, the interaction and connection that there's been with a new generation of carvers. Neat part that way. Little strange. Now what we're doing here in Peterborough too, also, we go down to the park and set up a table. My wife sits in a lawn chair and enjoys the weather as long as it's not too hot. And I sit and carve, and people come by to talk about carving and get an idea what it's about, and you should try to show them what to do. So it kind of stirs the interest in that area. And I've had in the park that we go to carve in is part of Parks Canada owns or has control of all the locks that bring the boats up from Lake Ontario up to Georgian Bay. And so this is lock 20, which is the first lock just below the lift lock in Peterborough. And people come from all over the world and park the boats there, wait for their turn to go through. And sometimes they tie up and camp there, like you're on their boat. They have their overnight there at the lock and tied up at the docks. You have a chance to talk to them. One lady came and her father had passed away. She owned this beautiful big boat, and they were doing the loop. I don't know if you know what the loop is or not, but it's you go from, say, Lake Ontario, where she was from, and they go up to Georgian Bay, then over to past Lake Huron, down to Michigan, down to Chicago area. Then they jump in with a canal system and move their boat down to the bigger rivers and go south all the way down to the Louisiana, into the Gulf of Mexico, and maybe to some islands and around to Florida, and come back up the East Coast. And then the winter somewhere on the East Coast, southeast coast of the United States. And they come back up to Canada when the weather gets better, and they do the whole loop. And I was talking to one fellow about this, and he and I got talking quite a bit about what he was doing on his boat. And I said, well, what's it like? He said, well, let me put it this way. He said, you're traveling at 8 miles an hour, and you're sitting on your butt for the whole time. And it's a long day. He said, your butt gets sore riding on a great big boat in the water. You have to watch all the time what you're doing. You're not able to just flip into the electronics and say, like some of the new Tesla cars that it can drive itself. A boat doesn't do that. So you can just imagine it's thousands of miles to do that big loop. It's a long ways to sit on your butt. And his wife didn't like to drive boats. It was all his job. You meet a lot of interesting people. Well, the lady that had her father's tools that I started to tell you about, she started carving. I gave her some blanks that I had from comfort birds, and that I carry them along just in case somebody wants to try. And she took them, and then she also had some other wood that she was going to try. And she started sending me pictures back from wherever they were on their journey. So she carved all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and up the side. And then when she got back to Ontario, along St. Lawrence River and then into Lake Ontario, she sold the boat. And we've been connected by Facebook and listening to what each other are doing. It's been kind of an interesting journey. So that park carving is a powerful way to do carving. I know, Forrest, you've done some of that too.
Well, yeah, we've done carving in the park.
Are you doing that now?
No. We've been having problems with the parks down here. With rubbish is one part of the problem. The other problem is there's a lot of construction going on. To stop the shoreline from eroding. So You can't quite get to the water.
Ah.
You can see it through a wire fence. So it's not that pleasant.
Are there picnic tables for you to work at if you do that, if you go there?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
Yeah.
In our case here, they haven't put the picnic tables out till just recently. And a lot of fishermen are there. They wipe the fish guts on the table and it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
There's bugs all over it. So what I've tried to do, what I'm doing right now is I take along a plastic table, a small bench that folds up, and I unfold those two and I sit at that table and we have the lawn chair there. It's just a really nice spot to carve. And the problem we've had in the last couple of weeks, it's just been too hot to do anything. It was not pleasant even going down to the lake. It was just too hot to breathe.
With the COVID regulations and not being able to go anywhere, I found myself having to get the undercoating touched up on my vehicle. So I did like you did. I brought along a knife and a piece of wood. Can't get inside, so I found a place to sit outside, and I was surprised with the number of people that were amazed at the shape this wolf I was carving was taking while I was waiting for my vehicle.
Yeah,
we should do more of that. I think just off the cuff, just sit somewhere and carve.
Yeah, and what I do when I'm doing that, I tell them about the local shows that are coming up.
Mm.
And people are quite interested. And of course, in our area here, we're only a little ways away from Toronto. So you get a host of Toronto people and a lot of dignitaries and different, TV personalities, et cetera, come to the park. And so you're able to get a bit of wood carving promotion out to these folks.
Yeah.
One of the announcers that's on CB24 in the morning, can't remember his name, East Indian fellow, he Gurdeep or something, he came by the table. He was really interested, and he had his pup with him. He was on a boat with about 4 other young adults, and quite interested. Now we're connected by way of Facebook and reading all that he's doing. He reads what I do, and it's a little bit of promotion. It really helps, just to get out and be where people are, as long as you don't cut yourself.
That was the reaction we were having at carving in the park. It's Bluffers Park. A lot of people would just walk by and talk about what we were doing, and we ended up talking about travels and so on, and some were from Japan and Australia and
Yeah.
all over. And one of us, Bill Mayat, he was carving spoons, and those things would go like hotcakes. They just wanted some memo of their trip to Toronto. Yeah. I was just wondering, Miramichi, is that in Quebec?
Pardon?
Say it again.
Miramichi, is that in Quebec?
Not sure.
One of the gentlemen.
Marcel, is that? You were asking Marcel a question?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not in Quebec. I'm in Ontario. I'm part of Clarence Rockland. I'm in Bourget,
Oh, okay.
which is about half an hour from Ottawa. Well, actually 20 minutes, half an hour to my son's place in Ottawa.
Oh, yeah. My daughter's cottage is up in that area, but in Quebec side.
Now, one thing about the bird carvers, that there have been a number of national connections made, one with the Maritimes, with New Brunswick, and generally it's out of New Brunswick, and St. Andrews coming up in the fall. There is a wood carving show and a competition, and it's one of the competitions that has the sales with it, so the person that wins gets paid a fairly good piece of money from the person that is going to buy the winner out of the show. And it's also in Burnaby, BC is another show, and in Alberta has another large wildfowl carving one. The New Brunswick is actually basically all birds. And so they have a lot of things happening with the connections with the birding. And they'll give a different topic, like one of them was a puffin, and another kind of seashore bird. There was another kind that they were putting out that they wanted people to try to carve. So there was customers that were interested in buying, but it really becomes a great competition contest kind of thing where you're trying to win this thing, but you'd also like to sell it and make pretty good money with it.
Yeah, there was well, way back when I first started in competitions. I ran into a couple of professional carvers, and one bird would be their income for the year.
Yeah.
You know, when I was over at Disney as a guest artist, and somebody bought one of my loons over there, a miniature loon, and I was invited to go to the World Championships, but never, because of my work obligations, never actually went there.
Mm. Do you know Roger Holden?
I'm afraid I've been out of touch with wood carvers for a long time.
Roger is just east of Ottawa on number 7, around that area, maybe Smith Falls or somewhere in that area, up north of there. And he's retired, but he has a business now of selling wood stoves and barbecues, that kind of thing. He is world class, and his different carvings that he's put in the shows and he's won with have earned him a pretty good dollar too. He was hoping to get a certain amount for it after the show was over, and he got a call from the US, and the person offered him about 3 times what he was hoping to get. It was a grouse that he did, and it was amazing, the piece of carving that he did. He's way up there above some of the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm not acquainted with the local or the Southern Ontario carvers, because I've only recently moved here from Timmins.
Okay. Was it Timmins? Was a few carvers up there?
I've never met any carvers up in Timmins. The group that I was with was in North Bay.
Yep.
And from North Bay, then I returned home to spend time with aging parents, you know the story. And so after they had passed, my wife's and mine, then we were free to come over here to be with the kids.
Yeah, we have made connections with the North Bay group. And at one stage in 2020, it actually would be, or 2019, we were making the plans towards that 3 or 4 of us were going to go up to North Bay and be part of a show, community show, to promote wood carving with the North Bay group. And then COVID hit and that was all canceled. So it still may happen down the road, but the Thunder Bay group has now engaged us in a new way too. And they've got a lot of carvers there. I think maybe up to 80 or so carvers in Thunder Bay. It has been bigger, but now it's about 80 or so. And so they've been basically on their own, not connected, but with Zoom and all the rest that's going on, they are connecting and having a great time doing that with us. It's been good.
I was first introduced to wood carving by the North Bay group because at the time I was a newspaper reporter, photographer. I went out to do a story, liked what I saw, and joined them.
And did you know the teacher? He's retired, I think now, but he just recently had, I think it was a hip replacement, so he was working on that. But he was the connection we had with carvers there.
I've been gone from North Bay for 15 years.
Oh, okay. He is more recent times.
Yeah.
I think there's
there was a Diane Maisonneuve in Sturgeon Falls who was also, I believe, a real estate agent. She was commissioned by the municipality to put together a large relief carving showing the history of the region for their tourist site or tourist information center. And the project was so large that Diane had invited other local carvers to join in the project and carve sections. That is one beautiful piece. If you're ever driving that way, it deserves to be seen.
So it's in North Bay?
That one is in the Sturgeon Falls Tourist Center.
Okay.
It's like the size of a wall. The only other place I've seen anything that size was in Saint-Jean-Port-Joli, near Quebec City.
Yes, right. Over at Thunder Bay, they have a merry-go-round carousel kind of thing that's full size that they're restoring now. It's got a history, goes a long ways back. So the carvers have been doing the individual pieces that were rotten or broken or gone for the backgrounds, like the sleighs and the wagons and so on that the horses pull, and some of the horse work they've been doing too. But they've commissioned a couple of high-end carvers, certain guys that are world-class carvers, to do the horses and that type of thing. So that will be done probably another year or so. But it's quite a project. Now, one of the carvers that I had here in Peterborough with me, I helped move him up to Fort Francis. He's in a wheelchair and was not able to sit that long in a car. So my wife and I drove the U-Haul truck to Thunder Bay. He flew up to Thunder Bay, and he and his daughter then took the car or the truck and drove the rest of the way, the 3 or 4 hours down to Fort Francis. And he's set up now and doing kind of he has a business of wood carving there, and being a unique spot he's in, it's really paying off for him. It's really helped him, He's become quite a presence in the material things that he gets are just amazing. Like bark carving. Some of the fellows in Thunder Bay are ordering a bark from over BC. Well, apparently down in that area where he's at, there's a whole bunch of bark carving. He got a half-ton truckload.
Wow.
Can do anything with this. Quite heavy. It's a big, thick, maybe 3 inches or more thick. I don't know what kind of wood it is, cottonwood or whatever. But it's been quite interesting to hear the contact. So as the editor and also as the leader in this position I've got now, I've been trying to reach out to all these different areas to find out where carvers are and make connections and host them and feature them in different things and stories. And it really has become a wider range than just an ordinary little club. We are much bigger than that. And so we're not sure what's going to happen after the COVID thing's over, how certain clubs may not survive because they won't have enough members to pay the rent of the place that they're going to be in. And then some of those places are closing just because of the fact that they haven't got the potential to carry on either. And so it's kind of an uproar, some of the things that are happening club-wise.
Hey, Mary?
Yeah.
Remember an Indian carver from the Hamilton area, Miracle?
Yeah.
Okay. What is his first name?
Doug.
Doug. He belongs to a real interesting carving group down in Port Colborne.
Yeah, he's down in that area now. He's moved a house for another spot. He's been in touch quite often with me, talking about his carving and what's happening. He's formed a smaller group around him, and he teaches them carving. I think there maybe 10 or 15 people that meet together regularly, and they have quite a large room, and they've carved right straight through COVID.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It's called the Phoenix Artist Group.
Yeah, that's Phoenix Group, yeah.
Yeah, Phoenix Artist Group. You type that into the internet and you get that group.
Yeah.
And if you go through the members of the group, all the bios are there. And there's one of them that is real interesting. And I'm trying to remember his last name. It starts with a C. But if you link onto him, just click on his bio, and you'll find that he started life as a graphics artist, got into moving pictures of, art. I can't remember the name of the technique, but it's like cartoons. And he's ended up being a feature director for movies like Star Wars and a few others. It's worthwhile going to Phoenix Artist Group, PHOENIX.
Yeah, the Phoenix, like the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other guy that was with us, John Harrison, he has an interesting teacher. And I'm trying to remember his name. He was featured, I first found him in a magazine that was published out of England. He's on the cover. He also works for the movies here in Toronto, doing their animations, the word I was looking for. A lot of the sculptures of the characters. Makes them out of paper mache, but they're huge. But he's featured on the cover. And I'll remember his name as soon as we finish talking here. I wish we had mentioned that with when John was on. He would have remembered. He teaches John.
We have every year in the Ontario Woodcarver Association, I've had opportunities to do special big projects like the one they did at the Ontario Science Center. And in more recent times, they did one for Honda. I think we reported on that in the magazine. And it was Honda's 50th anniversary in Canada. So it was a big, it was going to be a wall thing. And then they ended up making a coffee table out of it to sit in their foyer of their head office up in Markham area. Well, the most recent one is quite interesting. Neil is one of those fantastic carvers that we all really admire. And Neil has been working on this carving together with Tom. And what they've done is it's just about finished, ready to be delivered. It's quite a chunk of money that's going to be made from this for the Ontario Woodcarver Association as well for Neil. And this a man has commissioned this for his wife for a Christmas present last year. It'll probably be delivered before this next Christmas, but they have the four faces of the man and his wife and their two kids are mounted underneath of the coffee table. The coffee table is a family tree and the glass sits on top of that. So we'll be having pictures of that coming up in a magazine, but it's probably the most interesting commission job that I've ever seen.
I hope you don't publish it before he gives it to her.
No, we've all been working as a team in the whole thing. He's been over quite often to look at it, see what the details are. And so it's been quite an opportunity to engage the community. And I think once people see what carvers can do at the highest level of carving, there'll probably be more orders coming like this, but is how big can you go and how big what should you stay at and say you can't do this anymore? It's almost like the one that you mentioned there, Marcel, up north, is that it's a big wall thing and you need help to do this.
But saying that somebody was talking about genealogy, I have my crest with me. Did I tell you about my crest before?
No.
Well, it's not finished, but here it is in two pieces. I decided to do it in 3D as opposed to 2D. And because we're from the Ottawa Valley area, we ended up in a place called Torbolton. Two brothers that were in the British Navy came over by ship, which is why there's a ship in the center. So what it is the old Scottish belt type crest that they used to have. And then with the fetlock at the bottom. So I decided to do it as a 3D and I reimagined it so it represents just the group that came to Canada. And we're starting from there and seeing where the genealogy goes. And it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to mount it on a tartan backing. You can see that. Something like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really nice. I really like that.
So I thought I would do it in 3D as opposed to relief. And then I'm going to mount that on a backing with the tartan behind.
It's kind of like it is relief, but it's layers of relief. Eh?
Well, this is relief here.
Yeah.
And the belt isn't. It's
Hold it up a little higher. Okay, I see.
okay.
Yeah.
And there's some repair work that I have to do with it. I don't know if you noticed, but it's there. I just learned how to do the repair the other day.
Is that a chain hanging from the bottom there?
No, that's part of fetlock. I reimagined a fetlock, which is a locking device.
Uh,
Okay. So it's just simple, but it's like a sort of like a belt buckle is how I used it. So the whole thing is a belt.
So you have to get some bigger pictures of that and send it to me so we can write a story about it.
Yeah. I don't know when I'm going to get it done, but this is about a year that I've been working on it. You know, I created the design and did the fiddle away with it. I'm having to learn how to do carve letters.
Okay.
I've never done that before, so that's what I'm going to be doing.
One of the benefits that I benefit, or it's one of the things, the motivations has come for me from COVID-19, 18 months or so we've been living through, is I have lost some very close friends to the disease, to the virus. And they were only, this guy was maybe 60 years old. I'm 77. And I've lost others because of cancer. And I've got a very close friend that's now just been told that he has 1 year left to live with stage 4 cancer and has gone to many parts of his body. He's a total shock, and so is the family. And I started realizing these guys are my age or close to me. What do I do now, and what projects do I get cleaned up and get done before it's too late? I know that my time is limited just based on the basic problems that some people are having. And my sister just had a stroke on top of it. So all of a sudden, age and my time limits and my time agendas are suddenly right smack in the forehead, right in the middle. You know, you're living a different way. I got to get something done. And then my wife said, "Can you carve something for the grandkids? Can you do this for my a wedding present, possibly?" You know, so oh boy, I'm going to be busy. Well, folks, maybe it's time to let you go. Appreciate you each coming on. Thank you, Tom, for listening to all of us.